Welcome live to the Racing Hotspot Weekend Roundup. Guess what, guys? It's the first one of the year. Welcome back here to Season 3. Now it is just me. My co-host, or I should say, my co-host will be back with us next weekend, we hope. He is going through a little bit of, well, how would you say it?
Physical abnormalities.
That works. If you guys understand what that means, explain what that means after the show. So, we'll get right into things here. Here's your show lineup. Really, the show lineup hasn't really changed much since last year, except for a couple things. We lost the blog report, and we replaced it with Social Pit Stop. We'll explain what that is in a minute. But here's your show lineup. Motorsports in 60. Gonna see if I can beat the 60-second clock this year. Social Pit Stop, then a Sprint Unlimited recap. Daytona 500 recap. We'll take a quick break. Virtual lap or virtual race this year will be back, but we are currently working on setting up the Wii because with this new TV I need a special wire to hook it up, but that is actually ordered and on the way. So after the break we'll have our Racing Hotspot Points Championship and then the final lap to end out the night. So here we go. Super Motorsports in 60. 60-second clock starts now. Supercross in Dallas raced on Saturday night. Alright, this isn't really fair to see if I can beat the 60-second clock since we only have 5 drivers. Finishing 5th was Justin Brayton. 4th, Ryan Villapoto. 3rd, Justin Barcia. 2nd, Ryan Dungey and James Stewart went back-to-back again in winning this race. Got about 30 seconds left. So let's bring you... Well, we'll let that finish out. But I'll explain what the Social Pit Stop is. Make sure we don't get blinded. Or have our eardrums blow. There we turn the volume down, you can't even hear it. Okay, so the Social Pit Stop here, back to camera 1. Okay, so Social Pit Stop is when this off-season Racing Hotspot transferred itself, moving over to Twitter Nation. So now Racing Hotspot Nation is on both Facebook and Twitter. So catch us on Facebook with facebook.com/racinghotspot and twitter.com/racinghotspot or at Racing Hotspot on Twitter. So Social Pit Stop is when us at Racing Hotspot will share what we have found on Twitter. Alright, so what I mean by that is I use this hashtag. It's called hashtag AskRHCrew. Now right here, see these are all my own tweets. So nobody's asked any questions. We'll just double check right over here. Okay, nothing doing. So what we'll do is both on Facebook and Twitter, if you guys have any questions for us, we'll ask them saying, for example, Dave Poslusny asked Racing Hotspot, what are we doing this year? Well, Dave, we are, etc. So that's what we'll do. But right now, the other part of Social Pit Stop is if there is nothing happening as far as questions for Racing Hotspot, we'll go and we'll scavenge around real quick. See what's happening in the NASCAR world and stuff like that. So, Thursday night's Budweiser Duels races will set the field on Fox Sports 1, the Daytona 500. We already know that. there's the Martin Truex Jr.'s team in the front row motorsports. He is right there holding the front row trophy and the team lined up behind him. Little collage, I believe, yes, of qualifying. So, I know, I'm basically just rambling on here. But really, that's what we plan to do. NASCAR retweeted this picture. Austin Dillon on his qualifying lap. Somebody just basically giving the number 3 with their fingers. Alright, we'll move on. But that's basically what we'll do on the social pit stop. I'll also be more prepared as far as on Facebook with all of these guys. Biggest thing as I go over Formula 1, biggest thing in Formula 1, I don't know if you heard about this, Michael Schumacher is slowly coming out of his coma. He's in the waking up process. For school, I actually did my current event on that, which is right there, because I forgot to grab it off the printer. But, yeah, he's slowly coming out of his coma, which is always good to hear. So, here we go. Sprint Unlimited now. Now, Dave is probably going to be upset at me, but he has a list of notes, well, right here, that he made about the ARCA race and the Sprint Unlimited. This is something that if you want to get in on, we'll share this with you, and you can write notes while you're watching the race. So, Dave just wanted to say on the ARCA race, great race to open up the season. I'm not exactly sure if he's referring to the ARCA season or the Daytona racing season or the season in general. So we'll just go with the season in general. It was an awesome race to open up that season. Sprint Unlimited here. Right here, he just said talk about why the 18 drivers. So I did some research during my last 10 minutes of hurry up and get ready for the show. So, here we go. Why the 18 drivers are here. Jamie McMurray, the number 1. He won the Coors Light Pole Award at Sonoma. That's the one thing here, guys. You win a pole last year, you're in this year. So Austin Dillon's in the 2015 Sprint Unlimited already, which is pretty cool. So, you win a pole and also past winners. So, Brad Keselowski won a pole at New Hampshire. Kevin Harvick won a pole at Kansas, but he was already in it since he won last year's. Marcus Ambrose won a pole at Watkins Glen. Danica Patrick won last year's Daytona 500 pole. Denny Hamlin, Auto Club. Tony Stewart's a past winner. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at Atlanta. Kyle Busch at Bristol. Matt Kenseth at Kansas. Joey Logano at Michigan. Jeff Gordon at Richmond. Newman at Indianapolis. Terry Labonte was a past winner. Kurt Busch was a pole winner at Darlington. Jimmy Johnson at Martinsville. Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Kentucky. Carl Edwards at Michigan. Now, for a guy like Jimmy Johnson, he obviously won more poles than just that one track. But that's why there's only 18 drivers. Okay, so here's your top 5 from the Sprint Unlimited. Finishing 5th was Kevin Harvick. 4th was Joey Logano. 3rd was Kyle Busch. Brad Keselowski finished 2nd. And Denny Hamlin won the race. We have to go to quick commercial break, and we'll have more notes on the other side of the break. Sorry, my producer's waving his hands behind the camera saying, hey, we need to go to commercial. So we'll be right back. On the other side of the break, we'll have more Sprint Unlimited plus the rest of the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back here live here to Racing Hotspot. After that quick commercial break, you saw our new sponsor, Janelle's Expressions. She's the one who did basically all of the merchandise. This t-shirt was done through Vistaprint, but the sweatshirts, t-shirts, everything else was done through her, so she's going to be on with us this year. Back to the Sprint Unlimited notes here. Dave wanted to say Kyle Busch's wheel worked once again amazing. So, we picked up this video. Probably going to have to bring the volume up on the TV. It's nice to have a working remote. Here we go.
Move of tonight's race, and Kyle Busch around. And he saves it as he did in 2012 when he went on to win. He spins it and saves it. Caution is out.
Yeah, he turned it down, and there wasn't a hole there.
Some damage this time, though, Mike. You see the splitters up in the middle, the nose of the car is up where he hit the grass. So the team will have to get to pit.
So that is your 5-hour energy move of the race right there. Kyle Busch, as he did 2 or 3 times in 2012, started that wreck and just didn't finish it.
That's amazing. That's talent.
And here's a look at it. There is the 18 of Kyle Busch in front of Marcus Ambrose.
He just thinks I'm going to cut to the bottom.
Poslusny is there.
When you make a mistake and you can recover from it, your team's pretty thankful.
He actually did that a couple of times and got by with it. It just didn't work that time.
See if they can get that nose repaired and he can get out there and make some more action for us. Watch this move. Just had it run, decided to try to take advantage of it. Went through.
Michael, we know these cars have the big side headrests. The drivers have mirrors, but they have limited view to the blind spots right and left off those rear quarters.
You can see there was no spotter involved in that. Kyle Busch had a run. He thought he could turn to the left and make it. We do that a lot out there. You can't wait around when you have a run for your spotter to say clear because it won't work if you do that. He just felt like he had room. The seat of his pants told him he could make that move, and he needed a foot.
And this happened so fast. Did Poslusny even have a chance to turn down to get away from him?
No, Brad was as surprised as Kyle was. Kyle was surprised Brad was there, and Brad was surprised Kyle came over.
So there's the video. I think really the difference was between that wreck and the one back in 2012 was when he came down, he was already going straight down toward the banking, as in 2012 he was in the spinning process that the apron caught him. So in this situation he was nose front, hence why he spun through the grass. So Dave wanted us to see that. Quick little notes here. Great finish, very clean, which I agree with him. That was, granted there were only 6 drivers on the track. Dave really thought Kyle would do it, win the race. Fortunately, one of his teammates won it. And then, congrats, Denny. Quick little notes here, and they will have more next weekend at the Daytona 500 weekend.
This is the number to watch. That right there, that's the interval. Right now, he's tracking on the front row. I'm not sure. There it goes to the left. Is it going to stay there as he comes to the checker flag?
Top of the chart for Austin Dillon. The 23-year-old rookie runs 45.91, and he is fastest.
Regarding Austin Dillon, who now is the second year of a rookie going to be leading the field to the Daytona 500. Second year in a row. I believe it might be the 3rd time in history. I don't know. So here's how the top 10 qualifying happened today. Front row is set in stone. Austin Dillon and Martin Truex Jr. The rest of them all have to battle for themselves in the Budweiser duels. But here's how it went. Austin Dillon, well, we'll start from 10th. Paul Menard was 10th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was 9th. Jeff Gordon was 8th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 7th. Brad Keselowski was 6th. Ryan Newman was 5th. Carl Edwards was 4th. Greg Biffle was 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. was 2nd. And Austin Dillon took the pole, of course. So, here's how the duels are going to lay out. Race 1, you're going to have Austin Dillon, Greg Biffle, Ryan Newman, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's just the top 5. Race 2, you're going to have Martin Truex Jr., Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon, and Paul Menard. So, these two right up front, Truex and Dillon, aren't going, God bless you, don't really have to race. They can start the Budweiser duels and just put it away because they have those spots set in stone. But the rest of these guys are all for themselves. So Greg Biffle may not start 4th, a 3rd for the Daytona 500. He might start at the back of the pack. Speaking of drivers starting in the back of the pack, Danica Patrick, Tony Stewart, and Bobby Labonte will start in the back of the pack because they changed engines without approval from NASCAR? Or
No,
just
it's a standard rule. If you change the engine, you're in the back of the pack. It doesn't matter.
okay.
It's not a what do you call it? No penalty or anything. It's just a fact.
Okay. So they changed the engines because their engines blew up and they are going to the back of the pack. All right. Moving right along here to our final segment before the final lap. I have a feeling this is gonna take a while to explain because even one of our very own contenders was a little confused when he came here today. So, Joe had Tony Stewart for 5th, Kyle Busch for 4th, Matt Kenseth for 3rd, Casey Kane for 2nd, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the win. And on the little radio input I put in yesterday, Casey Kane and Brian Vickers were not in this race, so I kind of feel bad for my players that picked those guys. They didn't know that they weren't in there, so my apologies. Arthur had Matt Kenseth for 5th, Casey Kane for 4th, Jimmy Johnson for 3rd, Kyle Busch for 2nd, and Carl Edwards for the win. I had kind of a long shot, but I thought she might do something. Danica Patrick for 5th, Jimmy Johnson for 4th, Tony Stewart for 3rd, Kevin Harvick for 2nd, still not used to that 4 car, and Kyle Busch for the win. And Dave, our defending champion, did not have a good night last night. We'll get to that in a minute. Had Brian Vickers for 5th, Carl Edwards for 4th, Jeff Gordon for 3rd, Matt Kenseth for 2nd, and Kurt Busch, once again, not used to that 41 car, for the win. Now, here's how it all ended up last night. Uh-oh. Dave, our defending champion, you're going to have to start from in a deep hole to win this championship this year. Not really that deep. Only 14 points, but we'll get to that in a minute. Me, Art, and Joe each had 10. We all tied. So, what we decided to do as a tiebreaker, we were going to pick our pole winner for tonight's race. Today's qualifying, sorry. Joe had Dale Jr., Art had Tony Stewart, and I picked Austin Dillon. Well, I really thought Austin Dillon was a long shot, in all honesty. I knew he was fast, but I didn't think he was actually going to win the pole. I was wrong. So here's how it happened. We each had 10. Since I got the pole, I had 2 extra points for winning the pole, and then I got 2 extra points for the bonus, being that the Sprint Unlimited was a specialty race. Joe was second closest to the pole and got 1 extra point, and Art got none. So here's how the standings laid out. So far, only 1 race in. Dave's got no points. He's got 0. I got 14. Artie's got 10, and Joe has 11. Would you like to go by Artie or Art?
Doesn't matter.
All right. So, crazy first race. Moving right along here. Final lap. IndyCar, Formula One, both return next month. Rallycross returns in May. Not returning to New Hampshire Motor Speedway this year. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races Friday night, 7:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. That is their season opener. NASCAR Nationwide Series races Saturday, 1:15 on ESPN. That's their season opener. And Sprint Cup Series races twice in the next week. They race on Thursday for the Budweiser Duels, as you can see right here, Thursday Bud Duels. Duel number 1 starts at 7, and duel number 2 starts at 8:30. We'll actually be following that live on our Twitter feed. Check that out on Facebook too, because you can get to the Twitter feed on Facebook. And then the Daytona 500 on Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. I can't believe I survived my first show. Back. Okay, so like I said, in the upcoming weeks here, we have the Budweiser Duels at Daytona on Thursday. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series opener on Friday, Nationwide Series opener on Saturday, and the Daytona 500 on Sunday. The Battle at the Beach is racing on Tuesday night, but it's only on Fox Sports 2, so Racing Hotspot will not be covering that. All those events, except for the Nationwide Series race, will be following live. Next week, I have my co-pilot with me. Everything ran smooth for once. New TV, as you guys saw. TV on the injured list. Okay, so next week we come back live with Dave and I for the Daytona 500. Next week might be an extended show since we have all of those events to cover. So, yeah. So have a good night, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see each other next Tuesday. Goodbye.
Little girl, you like it loud, come alive.